Hi, Luciano. Welcome to Only5mins.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Luciano, you have been studying offshore floating PV for years now. When do you think this technology may become commercially viable?
I really believe that in the next few years, probably on the 5 to 10 year time frame, we will start seeing commercial size PV farms, possibly even before. There are some announcements by other groups too that they're working on it. Most of it seems to be still on an exploratory, experimental size. But I think it's only a matter of time then, because once you have a farm in the sea and you gain confidence, it's only a matter of time before those are made into commercial size farms.
And when do you believe we may see the first megawatt size offshore PV plants coming online?
So once we manage to launch things at sea, and once people gain confidence, and of course, if the cost is right, then there's no reason why not to see tens of megawatts in some countries, maybe even hundreds of megawatts at sea.
How offshore PV may compete with ground-mounted PV?
It will not compete with the cheapest options, probably, at least not in the short term. So, for example, desert installations. But there are two places where I believe it will be competitive right away. One is small landlocked countries like Malta or Singapore, or countries which don't have a lot of land. And then the other one is large coastal cities, because even though you can install farms inland away from the city, of course, then there are the added costs of trenching and putting cables. So putting an offshore PV, for example, outside a large city means that the consumption and the production are very close to each other. Also, of course, there are other things that will play a role, for example, like cooling. Because if you have active cooling while you're at sea, then of course you're producing more, which means the cost goes down.
How much far from the coast these floating solar parks may be located?
In theory, they could be very, very close to the coast, uh, within hundreds of meters, not kilometers, because they won't be an eyesore, unlike, for example, wind farms, which, to be honest, I don't find an eyesore, but there are people who object to having wind farms close to shore. But in the case of offshore PV, even the other designs that I've seen, maybe some of them are a bit high, and if they're very high, they might have to move further out. But many of them are fairly close to the surface. The design we are working on would be 1 to 2 meters above the water surface. So it's like having boats.
And how much these installations may endure difficult sea conditions? What kind of waves should they endure?
The one we're working on is specifically designed for Mediterranean. Mediterranean will not see 10 meters, we'll see maybe 5 to 6 meters maximum. But there are others who are working on North Sea type conditions, Atlantic type conditions. And they are designing their systems to endure 10 plus meter waves. Now, some of the designs I've seen, I think, yes, there's a good possibility that they would endure that. Of course, there is a cost, because if you make the structure larger, more robust, it's going to cost you more. So the spot we are trying to work in is one where it's good enough for our region. It's not designed for heavier regions, for tougher regions, but it's also cheaper to make than, for example, something like an oil rig. I mean, oil rigs are designed to withstand all weather, and but of course they're costly to build.
And do you believe that technical challenges like big mechanical stress or humidity won't be an issue in the future?
Been solved for other structures. There are offshore structures, be they fish farms or be they offshore oil rigs, and they have endured the worst weather conditions. There are trade-offs and there are costs to make sure that those conditions are acceptable, that the decay is acceptable. In our case, we're kind of trying to do that by using relatively well-known and cheap materials like light concrete.
And when will we see the first offshore solar park installed in Malta?
We are currently working on forming a startup to commercialize our technology. And if all goes well, the plan is hopefully by next year to have 2024, maybe beginning of 2025, to actually launch a full-size prototype in the Maltese seas. And of course, that would give us confidence then to go to the next step of a full-size farm.
Thank you for your 5 minutes, Luciano.
Thank you. Thank you for the interview.